film opens with a display of martial arts in a training hall in Malaysia. A fighter has just defeated his opponent, and he proudly boasts that Muay Thai stands above all other fighting arts. But soon, a middle-aged Silat master steps forward to challenge him. The two engage in a tense and powerful match. Unfortunately, the older fighter begins to falter. He is beaten down and nearly left helpless. Just as the Muay Thai fighter prepares to finish him, a man from outside steps into the ring. He looks like an ordinary older gentleman. Nothing special at first glance. The Muay Thai fighter and even the crowd mock him, believing he will be no match. But as soon as the duel begins, this unassuming man reveals his true strength. His Silat technique is sharp, powerful, and precise. It becomes clear that he is no ordinary fighter. He is Datuk Mior Abdul Rahman, the legendary founder of Silat Gayam. The Muay Thai fighter acknowledges his defeat and bows in respect. The crowd erupts in cheers, lifting Datuk Mior on their shoulders like a hero. In that moment, his journey was only beginning. This is Gayam. Sometime later, we see Mior traveling with his wife, child, and younger brother Matt, heading to Singapore. Life in their hometown offered only small earnings, not enough to support the family. They arrive by train and settle in a small village called Pasir Ris. Their arrival is welcomed by a respected elder, the landlord, and his grandson. Their new neighbor, Yunus, even brings food as a friendly gesture. Not long after settling in, Mior receives joyful news. His wife is expecting their second child. The next day, he takes his family to the nearby market to buy household needs. They meet the village chief and more neighbors, including Yunus, who sells vegetables. Their children, who are about the same age, quickly become friends. Meanwhile, fishermen arrive at the shore with their latest catch. Among them is Wak Kusang, returning from the sea. Rumors say he is a thief who has been troubling the locals. Believing this, Mior steps in and uses his silent skills to stop him, leading to a fierce fight. But it turns out Mior was mistaken. The real thief is a young boy who is caught by Matt. The misunderstanding clears, and instead of enemies, Mior and Wak Kusang end up bonding. Wak Kusang introduces himself as a fish merchant from Pulau Sudong. He expresses admiration for Mior's martial arts and asks who trained him. Before parting, Wak Kusang gives Mior fresh fish as a gift of friendship. The next day, Mior and Matt head to a British military base in search of work. They apply for positions as mechanics, and fortunately, they are accepted right away. Time passes as they settle into their new jobs. However, after a few months, the two begin facing mistreatment from a pair of British soldiers. We will refer to them as Talib and his friend Juan. They often harass Mior, acting superior and looking for chances to belittle him. One day when Mior and Matt are praying together, Talib and his men disrupt them, mocking their worship and bullying Matt. This becomes the final straw. A fight breaks out inside the small prayer room, and Mior quickly overwhelms the soldiers using his Silat skills. Matt steps in just in time, stopping his brother before the situation turns even more serious. Before Talib can retaliate, a superior officer arrives and orders him to repair the lieutenant colonel's stalled vehicle. Talib instead shifts the responsibility to Mior and Matt. Fortunately, the brothers are indeed skilled mechanics. After some careful work, the engine that was said to be beyond repair starts up again without issue. That evening, after returning home, Mior begins training Matt more seriously in Silat. He wants his younger brother to grow stronger and no longer become a target for bullies like Talib and his group. During one of these practice sessions, Wak Kusang arrives with several of his men. They have come to ask Mior to teach them Silat, impressed by the skills they witnessed back at the market. Mior initially hesitates, but eventually agrees. From that day forward, their yard transforms into an informal Silat training ground. As time goes on, living expenses continue to rise, and Mior's wife is getting close to giving birth. Needing extra income, Mior accepts work as a server at events held by the British officers. However, the British treat the local workers harshly, believing themselves above the people of the land. Matt suffers quietly under the mistreatment. When one event ends, Mior and Matt are left alone in the kitchen. Talib and his men return and launch a brutal attack, shutting off the lights and using special night vision glasses to gain the advantage. What they do not realize is that they are assaulting a trained Silat master. Even in total darkness, Mior defends them both and turns the tables, leaving the soldiers beaten and defeated. The violence stops only when the lieutenant colonel arrives. The next day, Mior is called to speak with him privately. The colonel is not only aware of what happened, but also deeply impressed. He offers Mior a position as a Silat instructor for the military base. Mior refuses at first, feeling unready to take on such a responsibility. But everything changes when Matt intercepts him outside and shows him a letter. Both of them have been fired from their mechanic jobs because of the disturbance the previous night. Now facing unemployment and uncertainty, Mior accepts the offer. He agrees to become the Silat instructor for the British troops. Before Mior can begin teaching, his skills must first be evaluated by a senior instructor from China named Master Chan. He has been training British soldiers in Kung Fu for many years. To test Mior, Master Chan challenges him to a match. Two martial arts traditions now face each other, each with its own style, structure, and rhythm. The fight is intense, balanced, and full of skill. As expected, Mior proves his strength and control. Master Chan accepts his defeat with respect and acknowledges Mior's mastery. From that moment, Mior officially becomes the Silat instructor at the British military base, with Matt working as his assistant. Time passes. One day, while Mior is in the middle of training his students, news arrives that his wife has been taken to the hospital. He rushes to be by her side as she gives birth to their second child, a son. A few days later, he holds a gathering at home to celebrate and pray for the newborn. Even during the celebration, Mior continues to teach Silat, now with more students than ever. The villagers admire him, and word of his skill spreads far beyond the community. Eventually, Mior brings his family to Pulau Sudong, the home island of Wak Kusang. They are welcomed warmly, but Mior is not there for rest or leisure. He is there to teach, to share the art of Silat Gayong with the people of the island. A year passes, and peace is shattered. In 1942, Japan invades Singapore. Panic spreads among the villagers, and many rush to evacuate to Pulau Sudong, which is considered safer. Only 7 small boats are available, so women and children are prioritized. In the chaos, one stubborn villager refuses to leave his home, insisting on staying behind no matter what. Mior focuses on protecting his own family and helping them reach the boats. Just as they are about to escape, an explosion rocks the village, sending flames through the homes. The evacuation speeds up as Japanese forces advance. Mior and his family board the same boat. When they finally push away from the shore, Japanese troops storm the village behind them. Then disaster strikes at sea. A massive wave hits their boat, throwing Mior and his family into the water. In that desperate moment, he uses every ounce of strength to pull his children to safety. His wife, struggling in the waves, is rescued soon after. They manage to reach Pulau Sudong, arriving as the final group to escape. But not everyone has made it out. Yunus and several villagers remain trapped back in the village. Determined not to abandon them, Mior gathers a small group and prepares to return. The rescue plan is carried out the very next day. Mior and his group move quietly through the village, which is now occupied by Japanese forces. The situation there is grim. Civilians are being arrested, beaten, and killed without mercy. Some manage to escape, but others are not so fortunate. Among the victims is the bearded man who refused to evacuate. His decision to stay behind cost him his life. The invading soldiers do not stop at taking lives. They take anything of value, claiming it as their own. Meanwhile, on another side of the village, Wak Kusang nearly succeeds in escorting 2 villagers to safety. But as they run toward the boat, Japanese troops spot them and open fire. A struggle breaks out between Wak Kusang and a Japanese soldier, drawing the attention of several more. The soldiers rush in, trying to stop the boat from getting away. In the chaos, a young man from Pulau Sudong is shot and killed. Elsewhere, Mior finds Yunus, but it is too late. Yunus has already died. However, his daughter is still alive in his arms. Mior lifts the child and tries to escape with her. But his movement is seen by the Japanese soldiers. Under gunfire from every direction, Mior does everything he can to protect the girl. A bullet hits his shoulder, and he is surrounded. The child, who nearly survived, is shot moments later. The loss strikes Mior deeply. Overcome with rage, Mior urges Wak Kusang and Matt to carry the child's body back to the boats, while he stays behind to fight. Wak Kusang stops him, reminding him that their families are waiting and must be saved. Even so, before retreating, Mior hurls a spear toward the Japanese captain. It misses its mark and only wounds the captain's face. Once the villagers escape to Pulau Sudong, the Japanese captain, Yamada, refuses to withdraw. He believes he has unfinished business. To him, this has now become a matter of pride. The bodies of Yunus's daughter and the fallen young villager are buried on Pulau Sudong. During the funeral, Mior warns everyone to be prepared. He knows the Japanese will come. So that night, the men of Pulau Sudong gather. They pray for strength as they're ready themselves to defend their land. The next morning, Yamada and his soldiers arrive on Pulau Sudong. They surround the island, which appears strangely quiet. But then, one by one, the Japanese soldiers begin disappearing. They are taken out silently without warning. With the enemy lines disrupted, Mior and the men of Pulau Sudong emerge from their hiding places and launch their attack. A fierce battle erupts along the shoreline. When Wak Kusang finds himself overwhelmed by 3 soldiers at once, Mior rushes in to support him, turning the tide. Meanwhile, a frightened Japanese soldier tries to hide inside a small hut. He does not realize that the hut is sheltering women, children, and the elderly. Cornered and threatened, Mior's wife reveals that she too is skilled in Silat, defending the vulnerable and holding her ground. Back on the battlefield, Wak Kusang faces Yamada. The fight is intense, but Wak Kusang falls. The remaining Japanese soldiers are captured by the villagers. Yamada then makes a proposal. If Mayor can defeat him in a one-on-one duel, he and his troops will leave and never disturb the island again. But if Yamada wins, he will return with a larger army and destroy the village. To protect the people who have welcomed him, Mior accepts the challenge. Their duel begins with blades, Mior with his sword and Yamada with his katana. At first, Mior held the advantage, but because he believes in fairness and honor, he makes the bold decision to put down his weapon. The fight continues with bare hands. This time, the battle shifts. Mior begins to struggle. He is pushed to his limit and nearly defeated. In that moment, memories of the villagers who suffered and the encouraging words of his wife rise in his mind. His resolve ignites again. With renewed strength, Mior fights back, overpowering Yamada and defeating him completely. As promised, Yamada orders his men to withdraw. Before leaving, he bows in acknowledgement, recognizing Mior as a true master of Silat. Peace slowly returns to Pulau Sudong and to Singapore. Mior continues teaching Silat, sharing the art of Silat Gayong with new generations, preserving the legacy of his people. So the moral of the story is, if someone looks like a harmless uncle buying groceries, do not joke about him. He might fold you like laundry in front of everybody.